This is Triple M. It's the Marty Sheargold Show, and you can catch every moment of every test and one day of this summer as Triple M rocks cricket. And, of course, you can catch all the action on Listener, Marty.
Yes.
Look who's here.
It's Merv Hughes, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning, Merv.
What a great time of year.
It is a great time of year.
How good was the cup yesterday, mate?
Unbelievable. I've seen some run and won, but that was right up there.
Unbelievable.
That was right up
Amazing.
there. Astounding stuff from all involved, and congratulations to the trainer and jockey.
Yeah. And horse.
And, who could forget the horse?
Have a rest now.
Who could forget the horse? Euroa is where you grew up, I'm assuming.
Oh, born in Euroa.
Born in Euroa.
Dad was a school teacher, so moved around a little bit, spent a bit of time down at Apollo Bay.
Oh, how lovely.
And then, so I grew up in Werribee. So born in Euroa, Werribee's home, and I live in Essendon now.
And played most of your junior cricket for Footscray, is that right?
Yeah, I junior cricket for Werribee and then moved to Footscray. So started the seniors down there. So when I was 16, 17, moved down to Footscray. So the outer western suburbs to the heart of the western suburbs. So
they've named that ground after you, which I'm sure you're
the
aware
Merv
of.
Hughes. Anthony Dottermaid thinks it's the most aptly named ground in Australia. It's a massive ground.
Yeah.
It soaks up fluid and it leaks methane gas.
Yes.
Which I think is very unfair.
That is unfair. That's bullying is what we call that. Of course, you made your debut for Australia against India, 85, 86, took one for 123.
Thanks for that, mate.
That must have been a hard day at the office.
I've just almost forgotten about that.
Oh, my God. And then you weren't reselected until the Ashes series against England the following year. Did you think, was there a part of you that thought, have I done me dash here?
Yeah, there was. But the thing about that, 1 for 123 sounds bad enough, but put it in perspective, I sat there that night and thought I actually bowled pretty well.
Yeah.
Just
unlucky.
Just a massive. And 1985, of course, was the Rebel Tour to South Africa, so we lost a lot of experienced players, and there was a lot of players picked that weren't ready, and certainly I wasn't ready for it, and those figures would indicate that. But got another chance, as you said, a year later, and then sort of in and out for a little while, and then just found my bones. So.
You really did. 53 test matches for Australia, 212 wickets at an average of 28. Best test figures of 8 for 87.
Well, your knowledge is unbelievable.
Just off the top of my head.
Fantastic,
Merv. I do, of course, we all remember the hat-trick in the West Indies across 3 overs and 2 innings.
Wow. 2 days.
Mind you, pretty handy with the bat, which can get forgotten in the conversation about you, Merv.
I'm starting to like you already, mate.
An average of 16. 2 50s.
Consecutive 50s.
Consecutive 50s.
3.5 months apart. But
yeah, but you were on fire. Yeah, for 15
counts.
weeks, you were king of the world. And then, of course, replaced Alan Border as a selector in 05 through to 2010. How do you think George Bailey's going? Because it's a thankless task, the selector, isn't it?
It is. So George Bailey, now Tony Dottermaid on that committee. I'd pay money to listen into a selection committee because they're both guys of very high intelligence, and they've got a real good grasp and a really good view on cricket.
Yep.
So it'd be an interesting conversation, and obviously the coach and the captain have a bit of a say. But 2 selectors now. When I was on board, there was officially 4 selectors.
Yep.
But basically there was 20 million people that had input.
Yeah.
I'm telling you what you're doing wrong. Didn't hear what you're doing right.
No, you never heard about a good one, did you? Because I feel like everyone's happy with the selectors at the moment.
Well, the team's going well, isn't it?
The team's going well.
Yeah,
the T20's going to be
a bit of a hiccup against New Zealand, obviously, and makes it hard from there. So games have got to go our way. But overall, the last probably 12 to 18 months have been fantastic for Australia. I went to Pakistan, went to Pakistan and won that series. I went to Sri Lanka, had 1 all. So one test really went our way, and the other test went Sri Lanka's way, which is the way it goes on the subcontinent. You just get the upper hand and you cruise. And then the 2020, what was that, 18 months ago? If that, the Australians won that. Started slowly and just got better as the tournament went. And then this year, the 2020 World Cup's going, but we're not here to talk about that because that's not on Triple M.
No.
The 1 day is against England, 3 one-dayers there, and obviously the Test series, so West Indies and South Africa.
It's going to be fantastic.
Massive.
before we get to that, when do you do those sort of supporter tours where you take 15 blokes over to... No, you're not into that gig.
We do those supporter tours where we take 50 or 60 people over. Why muck around with low numbers,
okay.
Marty?
Yeah, get 'em all in.
Pump it up. Get as
Get 'em
many
all
as
in.
you get them in.
Are they hectic?
It's a bit of a triathlon, to be honest. It's watching cricket, drinking a lot of grog, and talking a lot of crap.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good. So I still love watching the game in the purest form, so Test cricket. The World Cup's sort of sparking interest in one days in 2020, but Test cricket's where it lies, and work with Company Australian Sports Tours, and we're virtually fully booked for England next year, and also looking at an Indian tour.
Oh, how
so
wonderful.
That's February, March. So a bit happening, and obviously the last couple of years with COVID, that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
So really looking forward to getting on a plane and watch the Aussies play overseas.
Yeah.
Do you ever have blokes that think that you're their best mate by the end of these tours that just don't hanging
by
around?
You'd have a
By
few
the
best
end
mates,
of
wouldn't you?
the first day, mate, you go along with it because they think you're the mates. They buy a beer. It's good.
That's right.
It's very entertaining. But we've got a lot of, I call them repeat offenders. They just keep coming back. They just love the cricket and love the camaraderie. And probably we're a more sort of 4-star, 5-star tour.
You've weeded out the true bogans.
We cater for the older guys that basically want things done for them and can afford to go. And there's a lot of tour like the Fanatics tour that is basically just get over there on the cheap and do everything on the sly a bit. But that just caters for a different group.
Yeah, you're in a dorm with 17 blokes from Argentina thinking, what's going on here?
20, 30 years ago it would have been a lot of fun, but I like the 4 or 5 star.
You've moved through that.
It's River Cruise or something.
Now, of course, people will remember you from I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, Season 1.
Season 1.
First cab off the rank.
A long time ago.
Chrissy Swan, Barry Hall, Joel Creasy, Maureen McCormick, Julie Goodwin, and Freddie Flintoff, who eventually went on to win it.
So how popular am I in Australia? An English cricketer wins an Australian show that I'm on.
And wasn't he
how hated am I?
Wasn't he parachuted in as well? Wasn't he like...
So he came in late. He had it easy.
Yeah, didn't have to do any of the heavy lifting.
Yeah, that's right.
He just Freddie Flintoffed his way around.
But, it was an interesting concept when they came to us. You sort of look at it and you think, 6-week camping trip with 10 people, 15 people you don't know. It's not high on the agenda.
I wouldn't have thought so.
And you think, oh, mate, that's what I said to my manager. It's going to have to be good money to get me interested. And he rang up 3 days later and said, you'll be interested. So for the people that watch it, please don't feel sorry for the celebrities.
They're well reimbursed.
They're over there for their charities. They're over there to get themselves out of their comfort zone. Yeah. If they're not getting a good whack, they're not there, Marty.
Yeah, no, I felt like that might be happening. Triple M rocks cricket, of course, and we are rocking it through the one-day internationals versus England, as we discussed, the Test versus the West Indies, the Test versus the South Africans, 3 of them. Actually, 3 of them.
Yeah, so 2 against the West Indies, 3 against South Africa. Got a couple of guest appearances, haven't we?
Yeah, you got it. Brian Lara will be there.
Brian Lara for the West Indies.
Aaron Finch and Mornay Morkel
for the South Africans.
For the South Africans.
Aaron Finch, he's always good value. Mark Taylor. James Brayshaw. Understand he's not well liked here at Triple M. But he's a ripping bloke.
He's a ripping bloke. He's only lasted 25 years at the M's, Brayshaw. Brad Haddon, of course. Yeah. Everybody you've ever probably known in your life seems to be a bullet point
Mark
in front of me.
Blew it. Hads, like you say, Brad Haddon's come out of his shell. And to see Mark Taylor and to listen to him on Triple M and then having listened to him on Channel 9 for years, he's different person.
Yeah, very different.
Yeah. You can be a bit looser on the M's, can't you?
Yeah, a little bit more relaxed. Sometimes you even have to talk about the cricket, Marty.
Yeah.
It's a little bit distracting.
Mitch Johnson, of course, the list goes on. Let's talk about the cricket. What do you like? Because I feel like I don't know much about the West Indies, and I am a Test cricket fan. But I feel like I don't know much about this touring West Indian team. Yeah,
I don't think anyone does, to be honest. They chop and change, and they got bundled out of the World Cup, didn't get through the qualifiers, which was a real surprise because they were my smoky to take out the World Cup. So how much do I know? But it's just a wait and see to see who they got on the field, and then when they're playing, they've got the Big Bash on, so it's interesting to see the West Indian players playing in the Big Bash that aren't playing for the West Indies, and that was a cruel thing last time they were out. But they're a very talented side, but they haven't got too much depth, and They're pretty laid back, so they don't like to work too hard. So I just think Australia across the board are just going to be too strong for them.
It's a big issue, isn't it, the Big Bash versus Test cricket, particularly for countries like the West Indies?
Yeah, without doubt. So the economy in the West Indies isn't great, and people question why they're doing it. Mate, when they can come over here and earn as much money in, 6 to 8 weeks as they can for 12 months of a year touring around with the national side.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
To me, that's got to be looked at. So the money in domestic 2020, this new 100 that's come out in the UK, it's taking very good players out of international cricket.
Well, then you have the other side of the equation, like this Tim Davies, this Singaporean guy who's not playing any domestic cricket whatsoever. It's just a T20 specialist touring the world, probably making a fortune.
Well, years ago, that was your Davey Warner, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So he came from nowhere and no one quite understood how good he was going because all the 2020s were on Foxtel. They weren't on free to air, so not too many people watched it. And if you follow the game closely, and I tend to watch what's on TV, so if it's not on TV, I don't see it.
Not across
it. Makes it hard to sort of talk about the West Indies players and even the South African players. Just know that the South Africans batting against England wasn't great, but in bowler-friendly conditions, and their faster bowlers looked pretty good. So our batsmen are going to have their work cut out against the South Africans.
Yeah, they feel like they've gone through a bit of chopping and changing too, South Africa, from that stable side of sort of 5, 6, 7 years ago.
So they've lost a lot of play, and that's the wheel just turning, isn't it? That's going to happen to Australia in a couple of years' time when we have a look at blokes like Steve Smith, Davey Warner, Usman Khawaja. They're up around their mid-30s. They've played a lot of cricket, and when they go, it rips the heart out of the top order, and we've got to find new players. And our bowling looks pretty sound with Cummins, Stark and Hazelwood, and then we've got guys pushing up behind them. So the depth is pretty good, but from a batting side, in Sheffield Shield cricket, there's a lot of inconsistency from the players that are pushing to get into the Australian side in the next couple of years.
Mate, lovely to chat with you. We couldn't have you in and not talk fishing, which is one of your great passions in life.
Merv Hughes, fishing.
I
seven, mate, 2:30 on a Sunday afternoon.
I love it. For some reason, I'm always watching telly at that time because I'm always watching that show. Who's your mate?
Squizzy.
He looks like a good mate of yours.
Yeah, mate, it makes me look intelligent, which is very hard to do. That's why I got him on board.
He loves fishing.
He just loves it. He loves life. He loves fishing, and like I say, it's a fishing show with a difference. For half an hour, you watch us and you think we're going to catch a fish, and we don't.
But that's the fun. Is he an old mate of yours?
I've known Squiz for close to 30 years. Yeah. So he's a Melbourne boy, moved up to Darwin, and I ran into him up in Darwin. And virtually the end of my cricket season each year,
away you
virtually
go.
2 months ride off, go up to Darwin, catch up with Squizzy, go fishing, have a few beers up in Darwin, as you do, because it's a little bit warm.
So hot.
Yeah, just had a good time, had a great relationship with him, and when we asked him to come on the show, just jumped at it, and he's been fantastic. So he just loves life. Nothing scripted. You're trying to get him to say something scripted, it just doesn't work. Just be
yourself.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
And I think that's why everyone loves you as well, Merv, because you've always been yourself. You've never been someone else for someone else. Wonderful cricketer, and we look forward to having you back on the M's for, what do we call it? Summer of
Triple M Rocks Cricket.
2022-23.
Triple M Rocks.
Triple M Rocks Cricket. Lovely to chat with you, Merv.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, guys.